Scott Wesley and Gil mentioned. First of all, we really need to make sure that Venerable Thích Vĩnh Phước here and Father Lê Quốc Thăng will be able to return safely to Vietnam, and that they will still hold their passport so that they can travel here in other places afterwards. So please do keep a good close watch on that. The second proposal is this. On August 22nd this year, for the first time ever, there will be a commemoration of victims of violence on the basis of religion, as part of the resolution passed by the General Assembly of the UN United Nations. So I make a proposal here that to your office, Scott Wesley, and to you, sir, maybe we can encourage the U.S. Embassy in Vietnam and also the consulate of the U.S. in Vietnam to open its door and invite members and leaders of independent religions, temples, churches to come in, to use the permits of those consular offices and embassy to commemorate that day. It's an international day. And actually, I remember that in OFA, the International Religious Freedom Act, there's a call on U.S. embassies over the world to use this premise to promote religious activities. So that is our recommendation.
I wasn't aware of this day. Interesting. I was on vacation that week, but our Religious Freedom Office, which is now independent of DRL, I'll raise this with them. You should raise it with them too over the course of the next week. And I think we can raise it with our ambassadors. We do that for all sorts of different events, different groups. It would make sense to do this.
And definitely, I think that the state-sanctioned churches should also be invited. Yeah. Maybe they don't want to come, but they should be invited as well. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, I certainly want to say that I look forward to the opportunity to come to Vietnam. We hope that that will be able to happen in early fall. And also, yes, I mean, I think everything you say, the sanction, what everyone needs to understand, that there is a difference in having the freedom to practice a religion is different from practicing a religion that the government orders, and that you have to follow the government's religious beliefs, not your own. And so we continue to evaluate and work, but we would encourage, again, the continuation of all of you to be involved, to let your voices be heard of the injustice that is going on, so that we can be a voice for you through you, sir.
Thank you, all panelists. Thank you. And I'd like to remind those in the delegations here who will have to be at the State Department for a meeting with Scott Wesley at 1 p.m. Now, we would like to introduce the staff of Congressman Luke Correa, who should like to be here, but at the last minute he cannot make it. But he would like to have his statement read.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Unfortunately, Congressman is stuck in a hearing and isn't able to make it out there today, but he extends his apologies. Thank you very much for coming out here today. A few things real quick. The Congressman is deeply concerned by actions in Vietnam and the government's recent activities in cracking down on religious freedom and political engagement. He wants to have that message expressed to you so you know what it is on this important mission.
partner for many, many years. I'd like to invite Janita Castro from Jubilee Campaign. I have had the privilege of working Jubilee Campaign for a long, long, long time, all the way back in the 1990s in Hong Kong.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for the invitation. My name is Janita Castro. I am the Government Relations Coordinator for Jubilee Campaign. Jubilee Campaign is a non-profit organization that works to advocate for the freedom of religion of all individuals. We truly believe that freedom of religion is a core, fundamental human right. And Jubilee Campaign has many areas in which we work with, but primarily we work with refugees, people that have been persecuted and need assistance in being relocated after they have been displaced from their own countries because they're not safe to worship as they please. The way in which we advocate for these persecuted individuals is also by advocating for prisoners of conscience. We have been doing this for many years, and the Prisoners of Conscience Working Group, which is organized under the International Religious Freedom Roundtable, hosted by Ambassador at Large for International Religious Freedom, Sam Brownback, aims to advocate on behalf of prisoners of conscience suffering violations of the religious freedom. Within the context of religious freedom, prisoners of conscience are individuals in prison for the peaceful expression of their belief and who have neither advocated or used violence to worship. These are men and women who have been targeted not for their crimes, but for pursuing their right to believe. What we do as part of the Prisoners of Conscience Working Group is to reach out to congressional offices. We look for senators and congressional offices that might be willing to adopt a prisoner of conscience. When we say adopt, we really don't mean that they're legally adopting these individuals, but we do mean that they adopt the cause. They become the voice of these prisoners. And when they do so, the world listens. When they do so, they're either released or the prison conditions are significantly improved. UPSOS have partnered with the Prisoners of Conscience Working Group and the Roundtable, which is co-chaired by us, Jubilee Campaign, and also ADF International. And they have submitted 5 prisoners of conscience they wish to highlight so that offices in Congress and in the Senate can really help put these cases out there and hopefully find a release. The way in which you can help is by also adopting a cause. You can call your congressional offices. You can ask them to adopt a prisoner of conscience. You can highlight these cases and then ask them to be a voice for those that are suffering in silence because no one else can hear them. You can be a voice, and we are sure that once senators and congressional offices adopt these prisoners of conscience, there will also be a voice, and these prisoners will find eventually some freedom. I thank you very much, and I wish you all good success.
I noticed that Congressman Ron Wright is here. So I'd like to invite Congressman Wright, please. But before that, I should mention very quickly the Jubilee Campaign has been working with us on the stateless Montagnard and Hmong cases. And in the audience, there are 2 representatives of those communities. One is Ifik Haddock and Pastor Joseph Brown in the back. So please, Janita, if you have time, please look them up. Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Still morning. It's a great honor to be here. I want to thank all of you for being here. Every year, Vietnamese Americans come to Washington and exercise their rights as Americans. And it is a wonderful thing. I wish more people in our country would do that. Every year you get to talk to your representatives about not only your life here in America, but what's happening in Vietnam. And the ongoing assault on life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness that continues ability for Americans to interface with their public officials like this is one of the many things that's really kind of unique to America. Almost nowhere else in the world can an individual go to their capital and walk right into the office of their representative without an appointment and state their case. It may not be to the member, it may not be to the representative, but someone in that office will listen, because that's how our system of government works. Sadly, too few Americans take advantage of that. Too few actually go to see their representative, or call their representative, or write their representative. Too few let their representative know how they feel about issues of the day. And I will tell you, and I can speak, I think, for every member of Congress, we want to know. We want to hear from you. We don't hear enough. And I'll give you a really good example. We had a vote on an immigration bill last night on a particular type of visa. And we've gotten some calls in the office before that. But after the vote, I get home, and Facebook has lit up over that vote. People either complaining or congratulating me for the way I voted. And I responded to some of them that I knew, you know, it would be really helpful if you would tell me this before I voted. You know, we want that communication. We really do. We want that interaction. Don't ever think that you don't have a voice. Don't ever think that your voice doesn't matter. It does. Don't ever think that your representative really doesn't want to hear from you. Believe me, we want to hear from you. We don't hear from you often enough. And we need to hear from you before we vote on something. It's much more helpful that way. I thought long and hard about the general lack of political interest and action we have here in America. It's really kind of sad when we look at the number of people that are actually involved in the political process, the number of people that will actually turn out and vote. They'll vote in large numbers in a presidential election, but in an off-year election, it drops considerably. And the lower you go in terms of the level of government, the lower the turnout is. The lowest being your local government. Traditionally, the turnout for a city council race, I used to be on city council in Arlington, Texas, or a school board race, or a county official race, is very low. It's dismal. Sometimes it's under 10%. And yet, that's the level of government that's closest to the people. It's the level of government that you likely would have the greatest effect on, is that local government. People get so interested and engaged in the big issues, the national issues, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But they also need to be engaged at the local level, because that's where you can really have an impact. So if you're not engaged, I'm really glad to see all of you here in Washington, but also be engaged when you get back home, because your local representatives, whether it's city, county, state, they also need to hear from you. And you have that right to engage with them just like you have the right to engage with your member of Congress. So I hope you'll do that. I know that there are a great many people here in the audience who have lived under oppressive regimes, like Vietnam, and had your most basic human rights violated. Many of you still have family members in Vietnam, and you know that they struggle every day with their own liberty to even have any liberty. Vietnam's record on human rights continues to be abysmal at best, in my opinion. The Communist Party rules with an iron fist and maintains an extensive surveillance regime throughout the country to monitor the comings and goings of its people. Basic rights such as freedom of expression, freedom of religion, freedom of the press are heavily restricted. Anyone who dares to speak out faces almost certain harassment, intimidation, physical assault, and imprisonment. Torture is frequently used to extract confessions which then become evidence in trial, and they get sent to prison. When confronted with these facts, the government in Hanoi often feigns ignorance, like they didn't know anything about it. In recent years, the regime has increasingly outsourced its treachery, particularly in rural areas, to plainclothes thugs, local officials, and public security on the payroll so they can distance themselves from what's actually happening. But the world knows. We here in America know. The plight of the Vietnamese is personal to me. My district director in Texas, Mr. Andy Nguyen, is here. Escaped Vietnam and came to America with his family after the war. He came in 1981. Out of respect for him, I won't tell his story, but I will tell you it's one of the most compelling, one of the most inspirational you would ever hear. The things that happened to his family in Vietnam, the dangerous trek across the Pacific Ocean, finally to America, spending a long time in a refugee camp in Malaysia before they could get here. And it is, again, I'm not going to tell his story. I hope someday he'll be able to tell you himself. It's a very inspirational story. But that's the story of many Vietnamese Americans who came here with literally nothing, and became successful because of the freedom and opportunity in the United States. They came here for liberty, and they found it. Every year in Texas, our newspapers, at the end of the school year, will print a photograph and a short bio of the valedictorian and salutatorian from all the high schools. We have, in Arlington, 6 high schools. We have, I think, 6 in Mansfield. The valedictorian and the salutatorian being the top 2 students in the graduating class. And every year, you will see Vietnamese American students and their pictures in the newspaper because they graduated at the top of their class. I'm a firm believer that we're better off here in America because of the diversity we have. We're blessed with a vibrant Vietnamese American community. There's many all over the United States. We have one in my district. We have a couple in my district. In fact, we have a significant population in Texas. I thank God for that, because the Vietnamese Americans who came to Texas came, again, with very little and built something really special. They're entrepreneurs. They're professionals. They are some of the hardest working people you will ever meet in your life, and you already know that because you're Vietnamese Americans. And they're engaged in their community, and they have brought so much to this country, and I want to thank you for that. Each of you are evidence of the power of the American dream. Every Vietnamese American who comes here and is successful is evidence that America works, that freedom works, and that given an opportunity, people can use their talents, their intellect, and their determination and go as far as they want to go in the United States of America. And that's what the Vietnamese Americans have done. You've done it in Texas, you've done it all over the United States. You may not not know this, but promoting human rights, particularly religious freedom, is one of the main reasons I ran for Congress. It's something I'm very passionate about. It's the reason I requested to be put on the Foreign Affairs Committee. It's the reason I asked for the Africa Subcommittee, because that's the Human Rights Subcommittee. As a superpower, the United States wields tremendous influence around the world, and this influence comes with great responsibility. Just like freedom comes with great responsibility. We must do more to hold Vietnam accountable, not less. Just like we should do more to hold all bad players with whom we engage in foreign affairs, hold them accountable. We must push them to uphold the unalienable rights of mankind. No government can deny the rights endowed to us by God. That's where it comes from. It doesn't come from government. You're born with it. And it is government's responsibility to secure those rights and respect those rights, to make sure that every generation enjoys those rights. And that's why people come to America. You won't find people in the United States fighting to get out of this country like they do other countries. You will find people fighting to get in, but not to get out. And it's because we guarantee human rights in the United States of America. I look forward to working with all of you in this critical issue in the years to come. Keep talking to your elected representatives. Again, we want to hear from you. We want you to engage with us. Never think you don't have a voice, because you do. Never think that your voice doesn't matter. It matters. Your engagement matters. So thank you for being here. Thank you for making it to Washington. God bless you. God bless America.
Thank you, Congressman Wright, for joining us here. I'd like very quickly, Congressman Wright, to introduce to you Janitza Castro here. She chairs our congressional working group of the International Religious Freedom Roundtable. That's a network of some 80 organizations working together to promote international religious freedom. Thank you. Now I'd like to ask Kathy Lee of Freedom House. We have been working here on many, many projects.
Hi, good morning. It's an honor to be here today, joining so many of you who are working to promote democracy and human rights in Vietnam. Many thanks to BPSOS and Dr. Tung for organizing this extremely important and meaningful event. My name is Kathy Lee, and I work at Freedom House. For those of you who may not know, Freedom House is a watchdog organization dedicated to the expansion of freedom and democracy around the world. We analyze the challenges to freedom, advocate for greater political and civil rights, and support frontline activists to defend human rights and promote democratic change. Last year, Freedom House reported the 13th consecutive year of decline in global freedom and the shrinking of civil society space. And we have seen the effect that that has had on human rights, and specifically freedom of religion or belief in Vietnam. For example, over the last few years, Freedom House research has tracked a sustained crackdown against freedom of expression and belief, characterized by restrictive legislation against online content and religious activity. Arrests of journalists, human rights activists, and members of various religious groups, and violence and harassment by local authorities. At Freedom House, in addition to our research, we also work to help human rights defenders under threat due to their work, as well as working with survivors of religious persecution, regardless of their religion or beliefs, so that they are able to escape any dangerous situation that they may face. In this work, we have coordinated closely with BPSOS and other Vietnamese partners to ensure that emergency assistance is provided by Freedom House to those victims and defenders. In the cases that we've received, we have seen numerous religious leaders and activists having to flee their home and country because of extreme harassment and threats from local authorities because of their participation in the fight for calling for basic human rights. We have also received cases of individuals under severe surveillance, torture, interrogations, harassment, and at times arrest because of their involvement in an unregistered religious group. While the work that Freedom House does may provide some relief to individuals, this is merely a temporary fix. There needs to be more accountability and democratic reform within the country's government and institutions. And so at Freedom House, we fully support advocacy in the U.S. regarding human rights abuses in Vietnam, including calling for sanctions on those who violate human rights in Vietnam. We look forward to working with many of you all here, and thank you so much for your time.
Now I'd like to invite a very dear friend of mine, former ambassador to East Timor, Global Justice Greece. He just came back from Geneva. Working on refugee protection and human rights issues.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Tom. Thank you, both people, SOS, for organizing this every year. I think it does matter when people can see the real face of the terrible things that are going on in countries like Vietnam. As Dr. Tom has mentioned, a couple of us were in Geneva last week for what they call the UNHCR, United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, and NGO, non-governmental organization, consultations. Now, when you consult with the government or with the United Nations, the consultations don't always go both ways as much as you would think. Generally, they tell you what they're doing and you applaud. But there were some chances, particularly in some of the side meetings. We met not only with UNHCR officials, but we met with people from the UN Office of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, from some of the special rapporteurs. We met with the Chief of Staff of the Special Rapporteur on Freedom of Religion and Belief, and that Special Rapporteur is doing a great job. And the problem is this: you have heard about the Montagnard and Hmong Protestant pastors in the Central Highlands and the Northern Highlands of Vietnam, who are told that either they have to renounce their Christian faith, which the government calls an American religion. You have to renounce this American religion, or we'll take away your household registration. We'll take away the basic documents that allow you to live as a human being in this society. You basically become an undocumented alien in your own country. You become, as Dr. Kant has said, like a stateless person. Well, what happens when those people escape? Finally, when they escape, they've made sacrifices, they've had to be courageous. You'd think that they'd get a warm welcome. Well, the problem is that Vietnam is in a tough neighborhood. And the best place, and it's not great for them to go if they manage to escape, is to Thailand. Then what happens in Bangkok? They apply to the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees for recognition as refugees. And it's not just the Protestant Christians, it's Catholics. You can get away with being Catholic in Vietnam, but you can't be too Catholic. It's people from the Unified Buddhist Church, it's people from the real Cao Dai, the real Hoa Hao Buddhists. And then it's just people who put on the internet that Vietnam should be a multi-party democracy, that they can be prosecuted and are prosecuted for wanting to overthrow the government. And as well as, of course, the government's favorite crime, injuring the national unity. When I used to work for Congressman Chris Smith, who's going to speak to you in a few minutes, when we talked about that, I would go to Hanoi and talk to the government about injuring the national unity. And I said, you don't understand, I work for the United States Congress. It's a big part of our job to injure the national unity. It shouldn't be a crime. Here's what happens. The United Nations then, the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, who ought to be in the business of welcoming refugees and helping refugees, and sometimes they are, but too often, particularly with these ethnic minorities where not much is really, it's hard to get solid information about what's going on in these remote areas. They just say, well, that's inconsistent with our country of origin information, or we think your profile is low enough, not high enough that you'll really be in danger if you go back. Which doesn't make much sense if they were already in danger, some of them already in prison, some of them already in torture before they left. Or they say, maybe you can just practice your religion in secret, as though somehow that's the same as practicing your religion. So we have been trying to convince UNHCR to be more sensitive and more careful and more protective in their decisions. And part of that is if we can get the Special Rapporteur on freedom of religion and the High Commissioner on Human Rights to recognize that there's a serious problem and to recognize that this really is persecution, then we expect that the UNHCR might listen to them a little more than they would listen to us. And I hope they will all, and another part of that is getting members of Congress involved, and we've had some wonderful ones, we're going to hear from some more wonderful ones here, getting good people within the government, like Scott Busby, getting the U.S. Commission for International Religious Freedom, Commissioner Manchin and others. We've got to do it all. There's no part of it that isn't necessary. And we will keep struggling. We will keep working. And in the end, the only solution to all these problems is Tu Ya Cho Vietnam. Thank you.
Now it's my great honor to invite a great friend, Christopher Smith, and every one of us here already know him.
Thank you so very much, and Ambassador Reese, thank you for your extraordinary commitment to Vietnamese human rights and to all human rights around the world. Joseph Reese mentioned, Ambassador Reese, a moment ago, that he was the chief of staff for the subcommittee that I headed up. He did a phenomenal job working with Dr. Tom on a number of initiatives, including the Rover program, which was something that we worked to help create out of the administration when they wanted to send everybody back when the comprehensive agreement was closed. So I want to thank Joseph again for that great leadership, and Dr. Tom, both people. Just a very, very brief set of comments because it is late in the program. We are trying again to get the Vietnam Human Rights Act passed. I encourage you, ask you, appeal to you to talk to the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, Elliot Engel, and ask him to just put it up for a vote. It's a bipartisan bill. My good friend Mr. Lowenthal is one of the chief co-sponsors. It's bipartisan. We have gone through every aspect of the human rights abuses being committed on a daily basis by the Vietnamese government for religious freedom, to what they do against journalists and bloggers, and as Joseph mentioned, the renunciation of faith by Montagnard and others. It is bad, and it is getting worse. The Vietnamese government, as we all know, wants to have a relationship. Part of it is to act as a hedge against the People's Republic of China. They also want more trade. Well, you might recall when the bilateral trade agreement was agreed to, they went off the CPC, Country of Particular Concern designation, despite their egregious abuse of religious freedom. They went off it as a hope that they would somehow go to a more friendlier attitude towards faith. Nothing of the sort has happened. So one of the things that our bill does is call on the administration and Ambassador Brownback and his shop to designate Vietnam as a country of particular concern. It also calls for the very aggressive and hopefully judicious application of the Magnitsky Act sanctions against individuals within Vietnam, government officials who commit abuse, so that they can't come here and get a visa and they can't do business here. It has worked in other countries, particularly Russia, where it has been deployed. It's sitting there like low-hanging fruit in terms of diplomatic tools that can have a very positive and I think outsized positive impact on the terrible behavior of Vietnam. People look askance. They think that, why are we doing this? because it is bad and getting worse, and we know it better than anyone. Finally, the Vietnam Human Rights Act has passed 3 times in previous Congresses. Senator John Kerry put holds on it. The Senate never even voted on it. It's time the Senate voted on it. It's time we voted on it again and get this legislation down to the President for signature. You can make a difference again. Talk to the Foreign Affairs Chairman, Elliot Engel. He's a good man. I think he'll hear your plea. We are making an appeal to him as well. But I think we have a markup next week. It could be put on the docket. All he has to do is say yes. And then we get our debate. We will get a vote. In the past, the vote has been absolutely lopsided, underscoring the commitment of the U.S. Congress, at least the House, to the cause of human rights in Vietnam. Overwhelmingly, 350 to 40. I mean, the numbers have been lopsided. And I believe we'll have a replication of that if we could just get it to the floor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carrick.
Now I would like to invite another strong defender of human rights in Congress, Congressman Alan Lowenthal.
I was about to say good morning, but I think it's good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So good afternoon. I'm so pleased to be here to follow my dear friend, Representative Chris Smith. This is really, truly a bipartisan effort to fight for human rights, freedom, and religious freedom, and democracy for the people of Vietnam. I want to thank BPSOS for hosting the Vietnam Advocacy Day. It's really critically important, and I'm just going to mention a few things why I'm so pleased to be here and to be supportive of democracy and freedom for all people, but especially for the people of Vietnam who do not have the same freedoms that we enjoy here in the United States. As you know, I'm the co-chair, along with Representative Smith and Representative Zoe Lofgren of the Congressional Caucus on Vietnam, which we have really fought for, and I don't need to go through it in great detail. The Vietnam Human Rights Act passed the House a few times. We're trying to make sure that we have a hearing on it this Congress. I urge you, I will be following the admonition of Mr. Smith. I will be marching down today to speak to Elliot Engel to say we want to have a vote on it. Just give us a vote. And so I encourage everyone else to do the same thing. And I think the critical point of that bill is, one, Vietnam's horrible record now on human rights really deserve to have, and religious freedom, as we've heard, really deserve to have Vietnam put back on the country's a country of particular concern because of its lack of freedoms. And so we're going to fight for that. And I also believe that we must invoke the sanctions of the Magnitsky Act also, and that's also in the Vietnam Human Rights Act. So it's really important that this Congress take a stand and step up and fight for democracy and freedom. I'll tell you just a few things that I've been working on. You know, I'm a member of the Tom Lantos Human Rights Commission. I have the good fortune of having 3 prisoners of conscience released. Pastor Wing Kong Chin, Win Tien Trung, and human rights attorney Win Van Dyke. So I've been very successful. We've all, the work of everyone here, including myself, have been very successful in having some people released. But we also know that there's much, much more to work on. I'm very saddened by the fact that the most venerable Thich Quang Do, who is the leader of the United Buddhist Church of Vietnam, is under house arrest. The most venerable is in his 90s. Out of respect, he is not really a threat to anyone. And it's a moral crime that he is not given freedom to be around as a leader of a religious group that the Vietnamese government is very frightened of. And so I hope that we all continue to raise our voice to release the most venerable Taekwondo. But I'm also seeing right now, and I've been working on a number of cases with many of you and with Chris and also Zoe and some other members of our congressional delegation. I want to talk to you about a few cases. One was, and what's happened to Vietnam recently, one was Will Nguyen and Michael Nguyen, are the two, and then there's one more that I'm going to talk about also, the Vietnamese, Ha Van Khan, and I'm going to explain each of them. The first time recently, there have been demonstrations in Vietnam, very positive, people standing up, fighting for their rights. They've been because of a number of incidents that occurred. One is the Vietnamese government passing a cybersecurity law, which rather than providing cybersecurity to the people of Vietnam, really is an attempt by the Vietnamese government to censor and control all social media. And so that is not really cybersecurity, that's really a cyber attack by the Vietnamese government. The second issue that has come up recently has been the Vietnamese government's attempt to stifle dissent when, as I pointed out, there either was the Cybersecurity Act, the Vietnamese government's granting of exclusive economic privileges to the Chinese government, which upset the people of Vietnam. And I think the third issue was really after the horrors of the Formosa crisis, the Formosa steel, pouring of chemical wastes into the waters off Vietnam, which really destroyed the ability of all the fishing people of Vietnam to engage in their livelihoods. They were promised to be given by the government restitution and financial support. Little money has come to those folks. And so all of these events led to peaceful demonstrations in Vietnam for the first time. People say, these are horrible things. We need the government to be responsive to the people of Vietnam. And so what happened was, first of all, from U.S. citizens that have gone to Vietnam, for example, Mr. Will Nguyen, who was a graduate of Yale University, excellent student from both his family. He grew up in my part of the country in southern California, but also is now a resident of Houston, Texas. And Will had left, he had worked for actually for the U.S. government. He was a graduate of Yale, as I pointed out, and also recently had just completed his master's degree from, I think it was Singapore University. He went to Vietnam as a graduation gift, really to himself and to watch and to participate with the country, because he had a few days before his graduation, and so he went to Vietnam to visit. And he was so excited that there was the potential of democracy by these demonstrations that were going on. He participated in the demonstration because he believed it was peaceful, it was an uprising of the people. He was not doing anything but participating in a peaceful demonstration by the people of Vietnam, tremendously fighting the government, and Will was arrested and charged with crimes against the government. We fought real hard to try to get Will out. Will was not engaging in anything to overthrow the government. As I say, he was just finishing up his graduate studies. He was there and the government arrested him. He was convicted, but fortunately we were able to get him out of Vietnam back to the United States to have him deported. That was not the case recently of another American, Vietnamese American, Michael Nguyen. Michael visited family and friends in Vietnam, had been gone a number of years. He was a resident of, representative of the Porter's District in Southern California. Michael went He was just soon after he arrived in Vietnam, he was dragged off a bus by the Vietnamese government with 2 other people. He was held in prison without being told for almost a year, without being told what his charges were. He left. We finally, the U.S. government and our ambassador and members of Congress talking about this issue to really that there's no reason for an American citizen to be in prison. He'd done nothing wrong. Well, unfortunately, with very little notice, after being in prison for almost a year, with about a week's notice, he was told what the charges were and was convicted and sentenced to 12 years in prison. We are now fighting. This just happened the past month. We are continuing to fight to get him released, but this is a tough government, the Vietnamese government, to deal with. They're not being very responsive. Another example is we rarely get people now from Vietnam, Vietnamese citizens seeking asylum for political oppression. That doesn't happen too often recently, but Mr. Ha Van Thong was an activist in Vietnam. He fought for the people who were subject to the arrests and what took place after, and he helped in the demonstrations, the peaceful demonstrations. His major focus was the Formosa plant and pouring of chemical waste and the destruction of the economic livelihood of thousands and thousands and thousands of Vietnamese citizens. But then the Vietnamese government began to harass him, kept bringing him down to the police station. We're watching Michael and Will Win, the beginning of much more oppression taking place in Vietnam. And so Ha Van Thong left the country knowing that he would be arrested real soon, coming to the United States and seeking asylum. And he has not yet been granted asylum in the United States. So I'm going to ask all of you to really remember this, speak out for him. He deserves asylum if he goes back. If you think Michael Nguyen, who did nothing about 12 years, Ha Van Thong, if he has to go back to Vietnam, his life is in jeopardy for doing that. He is considered public enemy number 1 for doing nothing, but just peacefully demonstrating. So that is going on and we're fighting for it. So I've written to ICE. I've worked with my colleagues to deal with the Board of Immigration Appeals, to advocate. The Congress is in the House of Representatives is taking up this as a major cause. But it's really frightening to see the way the Vietnamese government has definitely moved away from responding in a diplomatic way or any other way towards the United States. So that's our job that we have in front of us, to make sure that we advocate for freedom and democracy. And that is not occurring at all. And actually, Vietnam is going in the opposite direction. So I'd like to say that, to thank you again for keeping this issue alive. Nothing, we in Congress are subjected to, in a positive way, to thousands of issues that we have to deal with every day. All sorts of things. And so it's easy to forget about some of the things that we're working, but because of your advocacy, BPSOS and others, we are constantly reminded of the repression and horrors that are taking place in Vietnam. So keep putting the pressure on us, and we will work to advocate for the cause of democracy, freedom, and human rights in Vietnam. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your continued work. I want to thank you for your advocacy in Congress here, for coming to Washington. We are listening to you. So, and the next step is to make sure that we get a hearing on the Vietnam Human Rights Act. That's the next critical issue, and Mr. Engel and the committee, Foreign Affairs Committee, needs to hear from all of us. But we're not saying vote this way, that way. We're just saying give us a vote. If we're given a vote, it will pass. So I want to thank everyone.
invite Christina Oni. Is Christina still here?
And Christina is with the Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much to Dr. Tong and to Boat People SOS for inviting me to be here with you all today. It's so good to be here with you, and I have to say, in a city where we only wear black, blue, and gray, it is so good to see the sunshine colors of Saigon here in our nation's capital, especially the lovely ladies in the front here. Tell you that we at the Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation are standing with you in your fight for human rights in Vietnam. We will continue, and let me say on an introductory note, for those of you who are not familiar, we are a non-profit, non-partisan organization. We were authorized by Congress in 1993 to educate the American people about the history, legacy, and impact of communism. And we will continue to hold the communist government that is still ruling in Hanoi today to account for the horrific crimes that they have committed. This is the same party that was responsible for the suffering of hundreds of thousands of people in Ho Chi Minh's Vietnam. And today, in the 21st century, these horrific human rights abuses are still being committed. There are, as you've heard, over 100 political prisoners of conscience in Vietnam. And this is unacceptable. This is a fundamentally repressive regime that doesn't respect the most basic and fundamental human rights, including the rights of freedom of religion or belief and of speech. And we will do everything we can to ensure that every single political prisoner is released. And we can achieve this together because in strength and unity is our victory. And the people of Vietnam are a people of incredible strength. From the 800,000 of you who fled by boat from Vietnam, to those of you who have suffered horrific crimes in Vietnam's jails, and under the force of Vietnam's police and other institutions that are responsible for these crimes. You have shown time and time again that your spirit will not be crushed. You have maintained your zeal in the fight for freedom and human rights in Vietnam that has continued for 44 years since the fall of Saigon. So today I would like to say that we will stand with you in this fight, and to end my remarks, I would like to invite you to join us this coming Monday, July 15, for our Captive Nations Coalition Summit. This will be taking place in the Senate, here in our nation's capital, and it will be an opportunity for victims of communism from every captive nation, from China, from Cuba, from Laos, from North Korea, Vietnam, and Venezuela and Nicaragua, to share their stories about the crimes that they have suffered under these communist regimes. We will be joined by a number of members of Congress and international leaders for this occasion, and I am also very pleased to announce to you that we will be awarding Mother Mushroom with the Foundation's Human Rights Award. So I hope that you can all join us for this occasion on Monday. My colleague Elad in the front here has flyers with information about this event, so please don't hesitate to let us know if you have any questions. Thank you so much.
Now I'd like to invite Senator Bill Cassidy from Louisiana. He has a distinction
of being the only member of the Senate who has ever adopted a prisoner of conscience. And that was Ms. Bùi Thị Minh Hằng.
Thank you, Dr. Nguyen. I may be the only member of Congress who has ever had that egg that had a chicken halfway in it. You know what I'm saying?
Trứng vịt lộn.
What is it called?
Trứng vịt lộn.
Yeah. So anyway, I may also be such a senator and congressman. I went with Congressman Gal to New Orleans East, where we have a wonderful Vietnamese population, and had that delicacy, so to speak. And indeed, thank you for contributing to our country, my fellow Americans. In Louisiana, we are known for our French culture, our Spanish culture, the kind of Catholic culture, and now we're also known for our Vietnamese culture. My daughter's best friends growing up were the Vietnamese Americans who lived next door to us, and now my daughter's favorite food, I'm not sure I will get this right, is pho.
Pho.
It's much better than the bird and the egg. And all that is lighthearted. What is not lighthearted is the human rights abuses of those Vietnamese who are still in Vietnam. And I think there's a certain irony to that. I remembered this and I looked it up to be sure. But Ho Chi Minh's Declaration of Independence started off in 1945 by saying that all men are created equal. They are endowed by their Creator, an acknowledgement of God, with certain inalienable rights, among them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that was clearly taken from our American Declaration of Independence. It clearly acknowledged the role of the Supreme Creator. And we clearly have a regime in Vietnam which denies all that. That is wrong. And whether it is religious rights, which you know better than I, but seminaries being destroyed, churches being destroyed, Christians and Buddhists being persecuted for their beliefs. It is something now which is so evident and so against that declaration which declared that we all have unalienable rights from our Creator of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And it extends the human rights abuses among those seeking religious freedom, but also to human rights abuses when it comes to labor laws. And of children being exploited to work, child labor laws not being obeyed, and other persecutions. And if you dare speak against this, to attempt to form a union which is really a trade union, in fact, not just in name, you might end up in prison. That is what is recognized worldwide as a sorry situation for a country that began speaking of inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, we can't say some things are getting better. On the labor front, with the Hafong Economic Zone Trade Union, the Korean manufacturing negotiating better base wages and bonuses for 2,500 workers, for attempting to give workers more rights. We see some glimmer of hope. But many of us here, including me, are people of faith. And so what we can say is that the suffering of those who suffer will have both a temporal and eternal reward. First, the dignity of those who are persecuted and who maintain their beliefs and who maintain their dignity is noticed by not just Americans, but people worldwide. And when that sort of attention is attracted, and that sort of inspiration is given to those around, change comes. It may not be immediate, but it comes. Indeed, our Declaration of Independence was written because folks who were not represented, who felt like their own beliefs were being alienated, wrote those that their rights and liberties were unalienable. And that is because people with persecution who respond to persecution in a dignified way inspire change. And so there will be that which is inspired now in Vietnam. We also see, though, that when it changes now, it changes for the future. And the young girls that grew up next to my house, who enjoy all the freedoms that we enjoy as Americans, enjoy those freedoms because in 1776, Americans arose against persecution for freedom, and now we enjoy the fruits of that. And there will be a Vietnam 200 years from now that will look upon this as a seminal stage, where those such as you, those such as we, those in Vietnam who are standing up to this persecution, were seen as the catalyst for a better Vietnam, for a freer Vietnam, for a Vietnam that does recognize inalienable rights, as was the founding document of Ho Chi Minh, but is now the kind of, if you will, battle cry of all those who care for human rights. All persecution is temporary. Jesus warned his disciples before the night in which he was wrongfully persecuted, hung on a cross, and ultimately killed, that the troubles that those who believe would have. But we can see that those who persist obtain a hope, not just in this world, but in the world to come. And I would argue a hope not just for the individual, but a hope for the society, and a hope for all those who will follow. Thank you so much for being here. Anything that I can do to help you as you help your fellow not Vietnamese American, but Vietnamese in Vietnam, please ask me. I would be privileged and honored to help. Thank you.
My good friend, Medias, Coutura, from RCC, United Christian Center. Well, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
It is a pleasure and an honor to be here with you today and stand in solidarity with the people of Vietnam in advocating for human rights and religious freedom in that beautiful country that I am yet to visit, but I hope to one day. And as a fellow pho enthusiast, which is a regular part of my weekly or monthly diet, I am so glad and honored to be here. And as Dr. Tong already mentioned, my name is Matthias Petula. I serve as the advocacy director for an organization called International Christian Concern. We've been around since the mid-90s or so, working with persecuted Christians all around the world, from sub-Saharan region in Africa all the way into the Middle East, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and into Asian countries, and yes, of course, also in Vietnam, where we're actively working, providing assistance to victims of persecution, anything from paying for medical bills to helping them get out of jail, whatever it is that we can do. We're helping them at the micro level as well as at the macro level. And we do these kinds of projects all around the world. But most importantly, we raise awareness, which is one of the greatest things that we can do in this country. You've heard a lot of talk today about all the freedoms that we enjoy and all the liberties that we have, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly like we are here today. I don't need to tell this crowd that much of the world today, including in Vietnam, does not have these rights. And it's not just something that we can enjoy in this country. We can enjoy them, yes, but we are responsible. With great power comes great responsibility. We are one of the most empowered populations in the entire world. So what you are doing here today is absolutely necessary, absolutely fantastic, and it is a part of the American experience that is so needed. You need to speak up, and you need to continue to speak up for the rights of those who are so brutally oppressed all around the world. So I thank you for that, I commend you for that, and I ask that you reach out to all of your fellow Vietnamese Americans, even non-Vietnamese Americans, to continue to raise their voice on behalf of those who literally cannot raise their own voices because they are suppressed day in and day out by a brutal dictatorial regime that seeks nothing but self-preservation. We need to speak up for those who can't speak up for themselves. Stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves.
And I know you've heard from a lot of congressmen and senators today, and I commend the United States Congress for the incredible work that they do. The U.S. Congress gets a lot of bad rap these days, especially on the national stage, about being ineffective. I'm telling you here today, they are not ineffective. In fact, I've never worked with a group of such passionate people before who want to make a difference in the world, want to pass legislation that's going to make a difference in U.S. foreign policy when it comes to Vietnam and everywhere else. So I commend Congressman Wright, Congressman Chris Smith, and Congressman Joshua today. And we urge them to keep up the good fight. We're behind you. We want to see change. And I will go even further and say the issue that we're all here about today, human rights and religious freedom, it's not a political issue. It's not even a bipartisan issue. This is a human right issue, period. And we are here because of that, period. It is not to be debated. Everybody, we are born with these rights. Every single one of us. We are born with these rights, endowed by our Creator, period. Government does not give us our rights. We are born with them. Governments protect these rights and preserve these rights for us. So that is what we are here to tell the Vietnamese government. Get off the backs of the Vietnamese people and give them the freedom that they deserve. With that, I commend you, Dr. Khan. Thank you for your incredible work. You are an incredible ally to us. I love working with you. You have an incredible leader here. Janitza, thank you for the incredible work that you do at Jubilee. Victims of Communism, Christina, everybody here. And of course our congressmen and senators. With that, thank you so much. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, keep.
Good speaking. Freedom Now. You guys have worked with Freedom Now from the very start of Freedom Now. On their first case, and that was Father Nguyen Mới.
Thank you so much. It'll be a hard act to follow, but I'll try. My name is Carl Horberg. I'm the Advocacy and Program Officer at Freedom Now. If you aren't familiar with Freedom Now, we are a legal advocacy organization. So we take on cases of individual political prisoners. We act as their pro bono legal counsel, and we take their cases to international tribunals, often the UN, and we advocate on their behalf. At the moment, we're representing about 6 political prisoners in Vietnam. And last year, we just released a pretty comprehensive report on the laws that Vietnam uses to repress civil society and to silence independent voices. And we've been profoundly troubled to see the government tighten its repressive grip on civil society. As many people have already noted, the number of political prisoners in the country has tripled in recent years. It's well over 200, approaching 300. These prisoners come from all walks of life. They're journalists, they're former military officers, they're religious leaders, they're lawyers. And at Freedom Now, we're particularly concerned about the government's crackdown on citizens who reported on the Formosa maritime disaster or criticized the government's response. This spring marked the 3rd anniversary of the disaster. However, many of the disaster's critics are still imprisoned, including journalist Nguyen Mới Nhất and blogger Ho Van Hai. Today's Advocacy Day is crucial because in the absence of Western pressure, Vietnam has doubled down on its abuses. We've seen this in the way Vietnam treats its prisoners, subjecting them to torture and denying them access to the outside world. We've seen this in the way Vietnam has changed its laws to extend already absurdly long prison sentences for criticizing the government. And we see this in the way Vietnam brazenly abducted journalist Nguyen Mới Nhất from Thailand. As you visit offices and speak with decision makers, remember that you speak not only with your voice, but with the voice of prisoners thousands of miles away, silenced by the Vietnamese government. Carry these voices with you. Let them speak truth to power with a single unifying message. The Vietnamese government must be held accountable for its human rights abuses, and the first step is the immediate and unconditional release of all political prisoners. Thank you.
Now a little bit changed, and here we will invite very young Vietnamese American advocate. to come up here and share your story. Oh, the trio. Oh, that's great. On Monday, Tuesday, we have our first next generation leadership training camp. And here are some of them, some of the attendants. Please come up here.
Come on.
Welcome.
Kevin, quý vị cũng gặp mấy em rồi hồi cái dinner hôm qua. Các em đã biểu diễn nhưng mà trong này nói là thôi để kết thúc chương trình cho mấy em rap một bài cho vui, nhưng mà mấy em nói hết một bữa đi về rồi cho nên tụi con không có nhớ được. Mỗi đứa nó chỉ nhớ phần của nó, nhưng mà tụi em sẽ chia sẻ một vài phút với quý vị về cái kinh nghiệm đi vận động của em lần đầu tiên ở Quốc hội. Thì Catherine, I think you're going to speak first. Ưu tiên cho cô bé này ở từ UK.
Hi, my name is Catherine. I'm from the UK and I'm here with my family. We're really privileged for BPSOS to have us here and to be involved in Advocacy Day and the youth group that they've had going on. I'd like to thank you for all your hard work and helping us learn so much in the past few days about advocacy and like the help for freedom in Vietnam. So yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Karen. So, Julian.
Good afternoon. My name is Julian Koo. I'm from Virginia, and I'm so thankful to have met such an amazing group of people. Not only were we trained to be advocates, not only were we becoming aware of true issues in Vietnam, but we're the next generation. I have so much faith in a brighter future just by working with everyone here, and I'm so thankful for it. Learning about BPSOS, and the Vietnam issues gave all of us motivation to try and fix it. This program truly taught me that no matter how old you are, you can make a major difference. Thank you.
BPSOS. With hard work, it'll give success.
Thank you so much. Vì hồi nãy xin lỗi vì thời gian bị gián đoạn cho nên là có nhiều phái đoàn chưa có được mời lên trên này, cho nên chắc Khanh xin mời không biết là phái đoàn kế tiếp, hình như hồi nãy thấy là phái đoàn Kentucky, phái đoàn Georgia, Florida. Có thể ai đại diện cho phái đoàn Florida?
Ok. Bây giờ mình ra đây mình nói được, thưa quý ông bà quý anh chị em, ở trong đó mình không nói được là không thể nào trong một cái conference, trong một cái phòng họp lớn như vậy, người ta đang phát biểu, tất cả mọi người đều im lặng hết, mà mình đứng mình thông dịch lại thì cả cái hội trường họ sẽ nghe cái tiếng nói của mình và họ sẽ đuổi mình ra ngay tức khắc liền. Cả cái hội trường, mọi âm thanh đều được shut up, không có người nào được nói cái gì hết. Đó là cái political, đó là cái lịch sử ở bên Mỹ này khi mà mình tham dự những cái buổi họp của những vị thượng nghị sĩ hoặc là những vị dân biểu. Mình phải respect họ, mình phải tôn trọng họ. Còn nếu mà họ nói đó, mà ở dưới đây mỗi người đều livestream mà ai cũng thông dịch lại thì cái hội trường nó sẽ bị loạn. Cái hội trường nó sẽ bị loạn liền. Tức là chúng ta nghe nó không phải là một cái buổi họp báo với những vị thượng nghị sĩ, với những vị dân biểu, mà hình như chúng ta đang ở trong một cái phòng cãi lộn hay là gì đó. Thành ra xin lỗi anh chị em, thông cảm cho mình không thể nào thâm dịch được ngay lúc bây giờ. Ok. Đó, vì vậy cho nên đó là mình chia sẻ như vậy để anh chị em hiểu. Bông sao rồi?
Bây giờ em đang hỏi anh là bây giờ nằm trong xe em, bây giờ làm sao mà giờ có người đi với em, lái xe chạy lại gần ngay chỗ ngay từ đậu ở đó rồi mỗi người ra.
Ok anh chị em, chắc bây giờ mình phải tạm biệt anh chị em trước, là bây giờ mình chuẩn bị cho cái chương trình kế tiếp. Mình chuẩn bị ra cái bức tường đen, ok, chuẩn bị la bông đồ này nọ để chút nữa anh chị em xong ở đây rồi anh chị em sẽ kéo ra ngoài cái bức tường đen. Tại sao mà là mình cái màn hình nó rung, là bởi vì mình đứng như vậy, mình cầm cái phone hơn 2 tiếng đồng hồ, vừa đói bụng, đêm một hôm không có ăn, cái ăn nhà hàng xong đêm về không có ăn, sáng nay chưa ăn gì hết, chưa có uống cà phê luôn, mà buổi sáng mà mình không có ly cà phê. Buổi sáng mà mình không có uống cà phê đó là giống như là xe không có xăng. Ngủ dậy bị trễ rồi chạy qua đây luôn, chưa có cà phê chưa gì hết, mà cầm cái tay cứ cầm cái phone vậy, mà cầm vào 2 tiếng đồng hồ, nó đói nó rung anh chị em, nó đói nó rung. Thành ra sorry, ok, không sao hết, rung chút cũng không sao. Chủ yếu là làm sao để cho anh chị em thấy và để cho mọi người thấy được là cái cuộc họp báo đối với ở chỗ đây, những vị thượng nghị sĩ, những vị dân biểu tới mà anh chị em đã thấy, họ đều nói về cái vấn đề tự do nhân quyền, tự do tôn giáo, cái sự đàn áp của Cộng sản Việt Nam đến những tù nhân lương tâm và những tài sản của Cộng sản Việt Nam gửi ra nước ngoài. Họ nói tới tất cả những cái đó, thưa quý ông bà, quý anh chị em, ok, đó. Vì vậy cho nên đó, thì mình muốn nghe anh chị em nói, nhưng bây giờ đó thì mình phải ngưng ở đây để mà mình chuẩn bị điều động anh chị em để mà đem hoa hồng đi ra ngoài bức tường đen trước, để chút nữa cái cuộc họp ở đây tan rồi thì có một số anh chị em họ sẽ về, tại vì có một số anh chị em bay sớm, phải về sớm. Còn nếu mà ai còn lại đó thì sẽ đi ra ngoài bức tường đen sau cái chương trình này. Ok, rồi cảm ơn quý bà, quý anh chị em. I love you all. Thank you. Hẹn gặp lại chút nữa nha. Đào Minh Quân xưng mình làm tổng thống của Đài Tam Việt Nam Bộ. Đào Minh Quân không có cửa vô đây đâu. Đào Minh Quân lính Đào Minh Quân không có cửa bước vô trong cái khu vực này đâu. Ok, không cửa bước vô trong này đâu. No way.